Greetings. Welcome to another episode of Just Joe Thoughts. You know what? Today I want to talk to you guys about something. This isn't about men or women. This is just about relationships in general. One of the key factors that people often say that helps relationships to work out is communication. I'm sure you all can agree. Yes, communicate. So, what does it mean to communicate? Simply, it's to exchange information. Whether you're exchanging that information through body language, verbally, through text, through an email, through a letter, or sign language, right? So that's what communication is exchange of information. Now, wouldn't you say that it's important that the information that you are exchanging is received? It's well received. It's actually properly understood, right? Wouldn't you want to be understood? And wouldn't you want to also understand the person that you're communicating with? Now, if we're dealing business here, right, you want to make sure there's complete understanding because we're talking about business, right? You want to make sure that money is right. You want to make sure, all of the T's are crossed and all of the I's are dotted. I get it, right? Just as important it is for business where the communication, you do not want the communication to be lost. In your personal relationship, you do not want the communication to be lost. But in business, sometimes you'll find that there's a misunderstanding or you're not understood. But since you're dealing with business, do you allow your emotions to get you upset? And sometimes it does. But when it does, do you allow that emotion to take over? Because most of the time you probably won't, right? No, you won't allow your emotions to take over because you can lose the business deal. It can literally cost you money. So because in communication, there's good ways to communicate, but there's also toxic ways to communicate. And most of the time, with one another in our own relationship, even though we may say, yes, communication is important, but what we're often practicing within our communication is toxic communication. And one example of toxic communication is verbal abuse. And verbal abuse, it involves many things, right? Insults, belittling, right? Yelling at somebody, aggressive behavior, aggressive communication, right? So many of you do that. I've done that. Especially when you're frustrated because what you're trying to say is not being understood, right? Or when you're dealing with somebody who happens to be combative, or maybe you're the combative one, right? So always keep in mind, what is the end goal here? You want to be understood, right? And you want to make sure not only if you're being understood, because your understanding is important. And if it is important to you, then who you're dealing with, you must also take what they're saying important as well. So it is important to understand each other. Understanding is key. That's why you communicate. Not just transferring information, but to understand each other. And with understanding, that helps to build the relationship, make it stronger, make it whatever it is that you want to make it, right? It's pretty much up to you. But for the most part, we tend to practice toxic ways of communicating with one another. And we don't like it when it's being done to us. However, we do it to others. I mean, you know who you are, right? You want to be heard, but for some reason, when you're not heard, you feel that it's okay to throw insults around, to belittle other people, and you do it on Instagram, you do it on Facebook. As soon as you perceive somebody don't like you or like your perspective, you want to attack them. You go in attack mode. And if you find yourself as the verbal attacker, you will be an issue in your relationships if you can't find a way to prevent yourself from having to attack. And sometimes, even if you're being attacked, sometimes you have to know, is this battle worth fighting? Of course, nobody wants to take insults. Sometimes the best thing to do is to ease your way out of there. Allow that person to calm down, to come to their thoughts, to their senses. And then try all over again. So the key to communication, it starts with you. Not your girlfriend or your boyfriend. It really starts with you. It starts with your ability to control yourself, to control your emotion, to watch your tone, to watch your verbiage, to even check your body language. And please, just listen. Listen. Sometimes it could be a misunderstanding, but just listen for the sake of understanding. Try to understand this person. If this person is important to you, then try to understand this person. If your girlfriend is important to you, then try to understand her. If your boyfriend is important to you, then try to understand him. It goes both ways. Just your thoughts. Peace.